Birdman is talking the most gangster shit you probably ever heard him drop.
I mean, well, that, you know, Birdman gonna talk his talk because he walked that walk.
He's basically saying that, you know, he's totally down to get you killed.
NBA YoungBoy just pulled a move nobody expected. Right after throwing shade at Birdman and saying the man never really loved him, these two Louisiana powerhouses finally linked up in New Orleans. And what went down next had the internet going absolutely wild. That meetup, straight chaos. The vibes, straight tension and snake energy. But hold up, this whole situation is loaded with everything. Betrayal, big money, and bars that hit harder than a punchline in a diss track. Two Louisiana OGs clashing like this got the whole culture locked in and watching every move like it's a movie. Back in 2018, Birdman was hyping things up heavy, saying he and YoungBoy were about to drop a joint tape, something that would bridge the old school and new school together. And this wasn't just talk for clout. Birdman really saw something in YoungBoy that took him back to the early Wayne days. He was out here publicly saying YoungBoy's a billion-dollar artist, straight up comparing him to Tunichi himself.
I think NBA YoungBoy might be the biggest rapper. I said that 5 years ago.
What you mean big when you say big?
Ain't no gonna be bigger than NBA YoungBoy. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
He the biggest.
Just think about that for a second. Birdman, the man who built Cash Money from scratch, who turned the label into a global empire, was out here claiming YoungBoy was next up to take over the entire game. That kind of cosign doesn't come easy. At that time, YoungBoy was barely 20, still a young bull finding his lane. When he and Birdman finally dropped their collab in December 2021, From the Bayou, it hit hard, a 10-track heater that climbed all the way to number 19 on the Billboard 200. Tracks like 100 Rounds and We Ride came with that raw mix. YoungBoy's melodic pain blended perfectly with Birdman's boss talk from the streets.
But I'm just saying, when that little boy get his mind right and he come from under this and understand who he is, because you know, Thug and all them, they up in age. They 30, it's 20.
But you think that he going through ain't doing that but helping him to his path to do that, though?
Of course.
Yeah.
We put it behind the wall, they become smart.
Yeah.
They ain't making them nothing but a monster.
It looked like a royal moment for Louisiana, the old king passing the torch to the young goat. But behind all that brotherhood energy, something darker was bubbling beneath the surface. Because when it comes to Birdman, you gotta peep the full picture. And his history with artists, it's messy, no lie. For years, people like Juvenile and Manny Fresh been calling him out for shady contracts and missing money they say they never got paid for. And of course, the biggest case of all, Lil Wayne himself. Back in 2015, Wayne hit Cash Money with a massive $51 million lawsuit over royalties and album delays that dragged on for years. And here's where it gets wild. Wayne actually tried to warn YoungBoy ahead of time. On his 2020 track, Multiple Flows, with Lil Uzi Vert, he dropped a bar that aged like prophecy. Wayne said he told YoungBoy to watch out for old heads. At the time, most people brushed it off, cause YoungBoy and Birdman looked tight. They were out here dropping projects, shooting videos, and showing off that family vibe. But Wayne, who's known stunner longer than most, clearly saw something brewing that the rest of us didn't. To really understand this story, you gotta see what YoungBoy was living through during that stretch. His whole career was tangled up with trouble. It started back in 2014 when he caught a robbery charge that landed him in juvie. From there, it just kept stacking up. Assault cases, kidnapping accusations, and all kinds of legal smoke following him everywhere. Then in 2020, the feds hit him with serious gun charges from a Baton Rouge arrest. That one had him facing real time. By October 2021, YoungBoy was stuck on house arrest out in Utah. No shows, no tours, no outside life at all. Imagine being one of the hottest artists in the game, making millions, but you can't even leave your front door. He was trapped in his own house, locked down while the world kept spinning without him. And during all that, people started asking the big question, where was Birdman?
It feels like you have a real good connection with Birdman. You know, you guys done some projects together.
5. You're my 5.
He's a good guy. How's your relationship blossomed throughout the years?
He just dude crazy. Like, he just talk a lot of shit. And I just like to sit there. They're my 5. I like when he pop this, man.
Yeah. Beatrice.
He been on that nigga too, so. That's the same type of time. Yeah, about it, for sure.
At that point, YoungBoy was still showing Birdman love in public, smiling for the cameras, keeping things cool. But if you listened close to his music during that time, you could hear the frustration creeping in between the bars. That pain, that doubt. That feeling that maybe all those promises were just empty talk. By 2023, Birdman was still standing tall beside him, at least in public. When Joe Budden went on his podcast and trashed YoungBoy's music, Birdman came out swinging, even warning him to watch your mouth. On the surface, it looked like a loyal OG protecting his young star, stepping in like a big homie defending family. But underneath it all, fans started to wonder if that loyalty was as real as it looked. Behind the cameras, the vibe was shifting heavy, in ways the public had no clue about. YoungBoy was out in Utah, trapped on house arrest, juggling federal charges, and even getting dragged into a prescription fraud investigation, all while carrying the pressure of being one of the most consistent rappers in the game, dropping music non-stop even when he couldn't step outside. He was sitting there watching other rappers hit the stage, tour the world, and stack bags, while he was stuck inside, watching life move without him. And the question that kept running through his mind was simple, but loud. Where was Birdman? Where was the man who once called him family? The mentor who said he had his back no matter what? Here's the part people don't always catch about this music game. When a seasoned OG like Birdman takes a young artist under his wing, there's an unwritten code that comes with it. It's not just about making records or shooting flashy videos. It's about being solid when things turn rough. It's about using your influence and your connections to pull your people through when they're struggling to stay afloat. But from YoungBoy's side, that loyalty didn't seem to show up. While he was battling court cases and dealing with strict confinement, it started to feel like the same man who once called him a billion-dollar artist was more focused on chasing future profits than helping him survive the moment he was in.
Birdman was also on the tour, like basically every stop. What was his role on the road with you?
Just chilling, being unk.
Being unk?
Just chilling.
You got like a favorite memory on the road with him?
Every moment.
Every moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's somebody that's been with you since you were about 16. What does he mean to you?
I think you should ask him. Do you want to get some fresh air?
That kind of silence cuts deep when you thought someone was really in your corner. That interview in 2025 came after they officially squashed the beef. But to really get why they even had to make peace, you gotta rewind to June 2024. That's when everything flipped. NBA, YoungBoy dropped Tears of War, and the whole hip-hop world froze for a second just to hear what he had to say about the man he once called family. June 2024. That was the moment that shook the culture. YoungBoy was still stuck in Utah, battling another legal mess. This time, a prescription fraud case that later brought federal charges. He'd been trapped on house arrest for years by then, watching his career play out through screens while he sat behind closed doors. The pressure, the silence, the stress, it all built up until something in him finally snapped. He jumped in the booth and let everything out on Tears of War. When DJ Academics premiered that record, it hit like an explosion. Every bar cut deep, but one line had everybody's jaw on the floor. Knew that Stunna never loved me. Should have listened to Carter. Let's break that down. Stunna is Birdman's longtime nickname, the one the street's been calling him for decades. And Carter is none other than Lil Wayne, Dwayne Carter himself. So what YoungBoy was really saying? That Birdman never showed him real love, and that he should have listened when Wayne tried to warn him about trusting older industry heads. This wasn't some hidden subliminal. It wasn't one of those sneaky bars people had to decode on Reddit. It was straight up shots fired, direct, emotional, and raw. YoungBoy wasn't hinting. He was declaring war in broad daylight, and everyone knew exactly who he was talking about. That track hit like a precision strike straight through Birdman's entire image. No guessing, no confusion. Everybody knew exactly who YoungBoy was calling out. The impact was instant and explosive. XXL magazine blasted headlines about YoungBoy claiming Birdman never truly loved him, while hip-hop blogs tore apart every single lyric, breaking down the lines and connecting them to years of behind-the-scenes history between the two. Social media went wild. Fans, critics, and industry insiders were all flooding the comments, debating what this meant for both of them. And the timing? That's what made it hit even harder. YoungBoy dropped Tears of War right as his Utah home was being raided by feds over that same prescription fraud case, the one that would later land him a 23-month sentence. He was at his lowest, legally, emotionally, and mentally. But that's exactly when the truth came pouring out raw and unfiltered. There's something powerful about a person who's got nothing left to lose. That's when you hear their real voice, their real pain. YoungBoy wasn't out here fishing for clout or chasing headlines. He was bleeding his story into the mic, letting the world know the betrayal he'd been holding in for years. And what made the moment even more cold-blooded? Birdman said nothing. No tweets, no statement, no track, just silence. He didn't clap back, didn't defend his name, didn't even try to explain. He stayed ghost while the internet exploded around him, letting the storm rage without saying a single word. That silence? It spoke louder than any response could have ever done. Some folks saw Birdman's silence as a power move, real boss behavior, letting the storm pass, refusing to feed the drama, and taking the so-called high road. And honestly, that's probably the exact advice his team was giving him. Stay quiet, don't give it oxygen, let the headlines die down. But not everybody was buying that angle. To a lot of fans, Birdman's silence looked straight up suspicious. Because when you've been in this game as long as Stunna and someone you called family accuses you of being fake, most people would want to clap back. You'd want to defend your name, drop receipts, prove you were solid, and remind the world how much you really did for that person. But Birdman, he stayed quiet. No interviews, no explanations, not even a post. And that silence, it screamed louder than a diss track. People started debating. Was he staying silent because the claims were true? Or did his camp convince him that speaking out would only make it worse? Either way, that quietness became the loudest statement of all. And just when people thought YoungBoy's diss track was the grand finale, surprise! There was another major player in this saga that most fans weren't even talking about. OG3, YoungBoy's right-hand man, his day one, and the co-founder of Never Broke Again.
You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, where we come from. And it's like, the mentality that they see us, when they see us, is like, hold on, let me back, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, we give like that back off, standoffish vibe.
I think now they gonna really understand how I'm coming. Like
his involvement? Oh, that's where things started to twist even deeper. Check this out. OG3 ain't just YoungBoy's blood brother. He's the heartbeat of the whole Never Broke Again empire. He helped build that brand from the dirt, turning it into a powerhouse. And through all the chaos, he'd been watching Birdman's moves real close, side-eyeing everything that didn't sit right. Then in a viral live session around November 2025, OG33 came out swinging with a straight-up warning that had people's jaws dropping. He said, "Hey, I don't care who thinks they can go around me. Soon as you try to snake anything, rake anything, better think 3 times, cause you're gonna be missing your head." It was raw, emotional, and clearly aimed at anybody trying to play with his camp's name. Just like any major hip-hop beef, the industry started chiming in. Whack 100, the loudest voice in every room, called YoungBoy a rat after the diss, saying that calling out Birdman in public broke some kind of unspoken street code. His comments blew up online instantly, sparking a whole new wave of debates. But here's where it got messy. Whack 100's stance didn't fully add up, because the same man calling YoungBoy out has also been super vocal about how older execs in the game use up young artists and then drop them the second they stop making money. Fans caught that contradiction quick, and it made people look at the situation with fresh eyes. To really grasp why YoungBoy's diss hit so deep, you gotta zoom out and look at Birdman's history, the patterns, the power moves, and the artists who felt burned after giving him their trust. There are entire videos online breaking down the long, messy history of Cash Money not paying artists what they were owed. We're talking big names: Lil Wayne, Juvenile, Manny Fresh, even Tyga. The list is wild. When Wayne took Cash Money to court, a 2016 order forced Birdman to open up the books, and what came out had the internet buzzing. The paperwork showed what many described as sloppy accounting and flat-out questionable bookkeeping. Think about that. The man who built a whole empire off the backs of some of hip-hop's most talented artists couldn't even keep his receipts straight. And now here comes YoungBoy, the new generation, saying the same exact thing. Birdman never really loved me. It was like history repeating itself. Only this time, the artist wasn't waiting until it was too late to speak up. Tears of War hit extra hard because of everything surrounding it. This wasn't just a diss track. It was a cry from someone dealing with real pain, betrayal, and disappointment. The song was recorded before those federal raids on YoungBoy's Utah home connected to the prescription fraud case, which only added even more emotional weight to what he was saying. You had a young artist who trusted an OG, someone who called him family, promised to guide him, and made him believe he was protected. But when things got heavy, that support disappeared. And unlike artists from past generations who stayed quiet out of fear or tight contracts, YoungBoy put it all on wax, raw, direct, and unfiltered for the world to hear. And here's the crazy part. Even with all that heat around him, YoungBoy didn't slow down. By 2025, he officially became the most RIAA certified rapper in history, stacking up 126 plaques and passing absolute legends like Drake and Jay-Z. That's dominance, no matter the storm. YoungBoy's numbers were straight up undeniable. And here's what makes that even more powerful. He pulled all this off while stuck on house arrest, fighting case after case and claiming the whole industry was blackballing him. He didn't need Birdman's connections or Cash Money's machine to push him. He built his own empire from the ground up, strictly off the strength of his music and his fans.
Nobody likes to work with me.
Why do you think that is? I was singing earlier before we started, your song Blackball is one of my favorite joints of yours. And a lot of your fans would say that you have been like blackballed in the music industry. What does that term blackball even mean? Like, what do you think of when you hear that? What does that mean to you?
I don't know. I don't think it's that no more. I think I don't know. That might not be my caliber of person.
That kind of success said everything about where his head was at. He wasn't crying about being blackballed. He rose above it. He didn't need industry politics or label favors when he had millions of loyal fans tapping in directly. He proved that pure connection beats fake support every single time. But then, the story took a darker turn. Birdman's brother, Terrence "Gangsta" Williams, started making some wild claims online, talking about inappropriate parties and throwing out names like Lil Wayne and YoungBoy in the mix. These claims were never backed up and were quickly slammed as tabloid-style gossip made just to stir chaos and chase clicks. Still, the damage was done. Even though most people called those stories baseless, just hearing those names in the same sentence stirred the pot and made folks start side-eyeing Birdman's history with young artists all over again. Whether true or not, it added another shadow to the narrative and made people question what really went on behind those industry doors. And that's exactly why what came next, the big reconciliation, caught everyone off guard. After all that tension, all those accusations, and all that silence, nobody expected them to reconnect, and that link-up had everybody wondering what it really meant. August 2025, New Orleans, the same city where Birdman built his empire, the same streets where Cash Money first came alive. Out of nowhere, NBA, YoungBoy, and Birdman were spotted together on Canal Street, hugging, smiling, throwing stacks of cash to fans while rolling deep with bulletproof vests and heavy security all around them. The two Louisiana legends who had been at each other's throats were now looking tighter than ever again. The internet completely lost it. Social media and X went wild. Timelines flooded with clips, memes, and people screaming that the beef was finally squashed. Fans were celebrating the reunion, calling it real growth, and saying it was beautiful to see two icons back on the same page. But some people weren't buying the peace vibes. They were wondering if something bigger was happening behind the scenes. Here's the real twist. In 2025, YoungBoy got a presidential pardon from Donald Trump, officially freeing him from all the legal restrictions that had kept him trapped for years. For the first time in forever, he could move freely, perform, and get back on stage. And once he touched that mic again, he didn't waste a second. He launched the Make America Slime Again, MASA tour. That tour was a straight-up phenomenon. 42 US dates, $70 million earned, and over 500,000 tickets sold. It became the highest-grossing rap tour of the entire year. Fans who had only seen YoungBoy through screens for years finally got to experience his energy live again, and the response was pure madness. But here's the wildest part. Birdman was right there, city after city, watching from the sidelines like a guardian. When DJ Academics got the scoop, he said Birdman told him he was there to make sure YoungBoy didn't mess up the money. That line alone had fans debating what the real deal between them was. Genuine reunion or just business in disguise? Birdman, or Stunner, started stepping into that mentor role again, acting like a protector, someone making sure YoungBoy stayed focused and got every dollar out of his moment. And this reunion wasn't some quiet behind-the-scenes thing either. At one of YoungBoy's shows, Birdman was right there on stage, wilding out and hyping up the crowd like it was his concert too. They even performed We Poppin' live together for the first time. And the crowd lost their minds.
Oh
my God!
Fans caught clips of Birdman jumping around, throwing his hands up, and clearly vibing with every word. To a lot of people watching, it looked like a genuine reunion. Two Louisiana legends who went through tension and betrayal but somehow found their way back to brotherhood. It was a full circle moment that had the whole culture talking. But hold up, This is where you gotta pause and look at it deeper. The internet has been split ever since those reunion clips dropped, and honestly, both sides got solid arguments. Some people say this was a true sign of growth. Two men maturing, letting go of grudges, and moving smarter. And on the other hand, you got folks saying, nah, this might just be business. Still, for those who see it as genuine, the logic tracks. YoungBoy's older now. He's not that same 18-year-old signing deals and trusting every handshake that came his way. He's been through everything: house arrest, federal cases, a presidential pardon, marriage, kids, success, and pain. Maybe after living through all that chaos, he finally realized that beef drains energy that could be going into building his legacy instead. Maybe, just maybe, he decided life's too short to keep carrying old grudges when you can stand tall, make peace, and keep stacking wins. Especially when there's so much money on the table and endless opportunities waiting to be grabbed. That's the kind of mindset that screams maturity, and it matches exactly what YoungBoy's been saying in interviews lately about not letting negativity control his life.
But do you think you tap into that emotional side? Because, I mean, I would imagine because of the name Slime Crop.
Yeah, but not too emotional. I don't really get too hurt about things no more.
What you mean?
I don't know. I'm just older now, so a lot of things that used to like hurt me back then used to make me like want to rap and you know, I just don't make that type of music. I don't go that deep because I ain't that hurt no more.
That's real growth right there. You can see it. A man who's faced his pain, confronted his emotions, and came out with a sharper focus than ever. If that's where YoungBoy's head is truly at, then maybe this reunion is the real deal. Maybe he's finally let go of the hurt and realized that having Birdman as an ally makes way more sense than having him as an enemy. Sometimes peace pays better than pride. But not everybody's convinced, and honestly, the skeptics got a point too. They've been side-eyeing the timing of Birdman's comeback hard. Think about it. Birdman pops back up right when YoungBoy kicks off his biggest tour yet, raking in tens of millions, selling out arenas, and owning the year. Suddenly, Stunna's front and center again. On stage, in pictures, part of the show, tying his name right back to YoungBoy's success. It's got people wondering, is this genuine brotherhood or just smart business? Because Birdman's timing has always been legendary, and jumping in when the money's moving might not be a coincidence. Birdman's been out here calling YoungBoy a billion-dollar artist, throwing out talk of $200 to $300 million deals like they're already on the table. But let's keep it real. That ain't just praise, that's positioning. That's a calculated move, setting himself up next to one of the most valuable artists in the game. So the real question is Birdman genuinely there out of love and concern for YoungBoy's well-being, or is he playing his cards to eat off the next chapter of YoungBoy's success? Is this true mentorship or opportunism dressed up as family? The truth probably sits right in the middle, like it usually does with relationships that run this deep. There's no doubt Birdman's got love for YoungBoy. They've known each other for years, made music together, and gone through situations that bond people in real ways. But love in this industry always dances with business, and you can't always tell where one ends and the other begins. The reconciliation already brought results too. In 2025, they dropped Fiki That Nia, featuring Hermtha Black Sheep, a high-energy banger fans called Straight Heat. People were saying Birdman wasn't just rapping, he was talking, laying down messages like a boss, reminding everyone he still runs things. But even with all the good vibes, there's one thing the streets haven't forgotten. OG3's warning still stands strong. He made it loud and clear that if Birdman ever tried to snake something or mess with their independent movement, things would get real quick. So while YoungBoy and Birdman might be back on good terms personally, the business side, that's under a microscope. The NBA camp's watching every move, every deal, every handshake. They've built too much on their own to let anyone, no matter how legendary, come in and finesse their position again. And they made that crystal clear for the whole world to see. So let's spin back to the title, NBA. YoungBoy just bodied Birdman in a New Orleans club. What does that really mean after everything that's gone down? In hip-hop, body doesn't always mean somebody got laid out physically. It means domination, exposure, complete takeover. And while there wasn't any kind of fight between YoungBoy and Birdman, that word still fits perfectly, just in a different way. YoungBoy bodied Birdman lyrically with tears of war. He flipped their whole relationship into a public confession, called out the warnings he ignored, and laid everything bare for the culture to dissect. That's its own kind of knockout, exposing someone's true character through music and forcing them to face the fallout in front of millions. But there's a second layer to that meaning, and it's even deeper. When YoungBoy touched down in New Orleans, walking through the French Quarter after his sold-out show, he was mobbed by fans showing nothing but love. He had the streets of Birdman City wrapped around his presence. That's dominance in its purest form. Despite the legal chaos, the blackballing claims, and the industry politics working against him, YoungBoy walked those same streets like royalty. Birdman was there, yes, but this time, he wasn't the center of attention. He wasn't the boss running the show. He was standing beside YoungBoy as a supporting character in the younger artist's story. That's the real body, a shift in power right before everyone's eyes. Now, as we move into 2026, YoungBoy's career is only skyrocketing higher. He's headlining Rolling Loud 2026, prepping for his first ever European tour, and just dropped Slime Cry, pulling in insane streaming numbers. On top of that, he's planning up to 4 new projects this year. Pure hustle mode, no slowing down. So, what's the big takeaway from this saga between two Louisiana icons? It's simple. The hip-hop game is evolving. Loyalty, legacy, and power are being redefined. YoungBoy's rise proves that artists today don't need the old system to win. They just need truth, consistency, and a fan base that rides for them no matter what. This whole story, it's a front row seat to a new era in hip-hop. The old school model of the music game, the one built on exploitation, is finally starting to crumble. Back in the day, labels and execs could easily finesse young artists who didn't know the business, artists so desperate to make it that they'd sign whatever paper got slid in front of them. Those days are fading fast because this new generation, they're not taking losses like that anymore. Artists like YoungBoy are flipping the entire system on its head. He owns his masters, runs his own brand, and connects directly with fans through YouTube and social media. No middleman needed. That kind of independence gives him a level of power that the legends before him couldn't even dream of. He doesn't need label backing, expensive marketing machines, or corporate politics to win. He built his own empire from scratch, and that's changing the whole structure of the business. Think about the difference. When Lil Wayne was battling Birdman and Cash Money, he was still trapped inside that old system. Sure, he was a global superstar, but he was also locked down by contracts, tied up financially, and limited by the label's control over his releases. His talent was huge, but his leverage was small. Now fast forward to YoungBoy, completely different story. When he clashed with Birdman, he was in full control. He could drop Tears of War whenever he wanted. No label could block it, and no exec could shelf his music out of spite. He wasn't bound by anyone's paperwork. His connection with fans was his freedom card. That's a whole new level of power. And it's a blueprint for every young artist coming up right now. This new generation doesn't just want fame, they want ownership, freedom, and control. And YoungBoy's story proves it's not just possible, it's the future of the game. You don't ever have to accept exploitation as the cost of chasing your dreams. You don't have to stay silent when somebody's doing you dirty. The game's changing, and artists today got more tools, more freedom, and more power than ever before. You can build your own wave, keep your independence solid, and still reach legendary status without letting anyone control your path. That's what this whole story shows. Ownership is power, and real success comes when you move smart. Stay loyal to your vision and protect your value no matter who's watching. The industry used to run on control. Now it runs on creativity and connection. So before you dip out, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, share this video, and drop a comment below. I want to hear your take. Is this reunion between YoungBoy and Birdman the real deal, or just business dressed up as brotherhood? Did Birdman really evolve, or is this another strategic move? Let's talk about it in the comments. Until next time, stay sharp, stay focused, and keep your hustle clean. Peace.